Hi everyone, welcome to AI Product Builders. Today we'll be building a simple text summarization app using OpenAI, LangChain and Streamlit. We'll be using GPT 3.5 as our LLM, Streamlit for our web interface, and explore some community tools from LangChain. By end of this video, we'll have a fully functioning summarization app and it takes less than 10 minutes. I'll also provide the link to the GitHub repository. So without further ado, I'll quickly show you how the application works. So let's have a quick look into the tech stack. As I mentioned, we'll be using Streamlit as a web interface. This is completely built using Python, LangChain, as we'll be using some community tools like LangChain documents to store our documents, to split our text into chunks, and also to summarize the text. And OpenAI as our LLM token to tokenize the OpenAI models. So how the application works is very simple. So on a high level, when a user inputs the input text is first split into several chunks using character text splitter. And why is chunking important? Chunk content always allows AI models to process information in manageable segments, reducing the cognitive load and computational resources required. And that's the reason we split our input text into several chunks. We are using a module called character text splitter from LangChain. So once the text is split into several chunks, each of the split text is then converted into documents by a function called document. Again, this is provided by LangChain. The processed text, which is converted into document, will then serve as an input along with our LLM model to the load summarize chain. It's again a function we'll be using from LangChain. The load summarize chain basically will transform the text into a concise form as a summarized text. That's it. User inputs the text, we convert the text into several chunks, and those several chunks are then converted into document, and the converted documents along with an LLM pass to a load summarize chain in order to give a very concise summarized text.
Let's have a quick look. How does the app look? Our text summarization app simplifies your reading process by condensing large text into digestible summaries. First, you have to input your text. It could be anything, a chapter from the book, an article, or a long email. Then you have to enter your OpenAI key and then hit submit. And in moments, you see a concise, accurate summaries. I've also included how can you get your OpenAI key, and later in the video, I'll show you how you can get your OpenAI key. I'll be taking, an article of mine, copy paste that, and also unpaste my API key over here, and then click submit. Yes, you see, you have a very concise summary of the entire article. So this is how the application works. Let's dive into the code. Let me also quickly show you how you can get your API key. So head over to openai.com and click on Explore API. Just log in with your account. If you don't have an account, just create one and click on API. So you end up in OpenAI developer platform. And once you end up here, click on API keys and click on create new secret key. Just give it a name and say create a secret key. I already have my secret key over here and save it in a very safe place. That's how you can get your API key. Now let's dive into the code. So this is the GitHub repository. It basically consists of 3 files: readme, requirements.txt, and summary.f.py. Readme basically contains the brief overview of how this application works. Requirements.txt consists of all the libraries we need to be installing for this application to work, and this has the code base. So first we'll start by importing all the required libraries. So if you have to install all the libraries, we'll just say pip install requirements. So this is where we have all the libraries. We are done with importing all the libraries. So once we are done with importing all the libraries, we'll create a custom function called generate response. So in our case, it generates a response based on the given text input as text, and that the text needs to be summarized, and the output text will be in a summarized version. So let's create a function called def generate response, and that the input will be a text. So this particular function contains 4 steps, right? First, we have to instantiate the LLM model. Second, we have to split the text using the text splitter function. Third step is create multiple documents for the text split above. And the last step is to text summarization. So we'll be writing code for each of the steps, right? So first we'll begin by instantiating the LLM model. So LLM equal to, so you can use any LLM model here, OpenAI. So we'll have the temperature setting. Then we have to split the text using text. Here we'll be using character text splitter function, split the text, and then we'll create multiple documents for the text split above. So we'll start with saying docs equal to, so what we are doing here is basically a document is created for each of the text split above using a list comprehension, and then we'll start with summarizing the text using load summarize chain. So we'll also use the LLM here. We have to mention the chain type. So what we are doing over here is basically the load summarize chain is defined and assigned to a chain variable applied to the documents created above and stored in a document variable via the run method. So let me give you the summary of the entire function, right? In the first step, we are instantiating the LLM model from OpenAI. In this example, you can use any LLM model of your choice. So the API key is defined by the OpenAI key parameter, which also takes in the OpenAI key from the user. We'll be specifying that in the web interface. And the next step is to split the text using the split text method from character text splitter. And then a document is created for each of the text split using a list comprehension. And then the summarize chain is defined and assigned to the chain variable applied to the documents created above and stored in the documents variable via the run method. So that's basically the function talks about. So once we are done with writing the function for generate response, first we'll start setting the page title, page config, and we'll set the in-app title using st dot. So the next step is to create this box where the user can input their text that they want to summarize. So we'll say text input. Well, we'll use st dot, we'll use the area over here, ask the user to enter their text, and also define the height. I'm keeping it for 2 right now. And the next step is to create a form to accept the text. So before defining the form, we'll create an empty list called result to later store the AI generated response. Let's create this. Now let's create the form. So we'll use st.streamlit. So what are we doing over here is basically we clear the API key text box using the clear on submit, setting it true parameter after an AI generated response has been successfully performed. This is because of the safety purpose. And then we have to enter the open API. So we'll have a text input for the user to enter their own API key. And next we'll create a submit button. Once the user enters their text and the open API key, they click on submit. So submitted is equal to dot form submit button, and say we'll perform a clue. Next we'll start by setting up a validation clue. Check whether the user has entered their open API key and clicked on submit. For that we'll use a if statement saying if submitted and open API key is we can say starts with, usually the open API key starts with SK, so that's the validation we are checking over here. So we'll show a spinner saying calculating, so that the user has a clue that their text has been processed. Then we'll generate a response using our function called generate response and use the argument text input which the user will be providing, and will display the result and append it to the response. And once the response is done, we'll delete the OpenAI key for security purposes. So here, as the user clicks the submit button, a calculating spinner will be shown, and once the AI generated response is made, the results are stored in a result list created earlier, and then the API key is deleted. And finally we'll be printing our text output. So finally I'll also include a short description on how users can then get their open API key. So you see here the clear description how they can get their open API key. So I'll be just using that instructions users to get. I'll just copy and paste my code over here. So we'll use st dots for the heading and st dot in Streamlit to write your description. Yeah, that's basically the entire code. So you build the entire application in 54 lines of code. So let's quickly run the code and see if the application works. Streamlit, you can open in your browser. Voila, you have your text summarization app ready in just under 10 minutes. So once you check if the application is working, you can also host this application on Streamlit Community Cloud and can share it with others, which is super cool. So I'll quickly show you how you can deploy your application on Streamlit. Just head over to Streamlit and create an account. So I've already deployed my application over here, which basically says LangChain text summarization. All you have to do is click on your app and paste your GitHub URL. So this is my GitHub URL for the app, and click on it. And you can also edit the domain if you wish to, and click on deploy. That's it. So I have my app over here deployed. So once I click on it, yes, you see my app is deployed on Streamlit Community Cloud. Now my application is deployed on Streamlit. I can share it with others. It's really cool that you can showcase your projects like this. Yeah, so that's it for today. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please do subscribe and stay updated. Thank you.